Okay, we'll get started. Lindsey, have you unmuted yourself? Lindsey?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see anyone, but that's okay. We don't have to, I guess, see each other. But okay, so tonight, thank y'all for coming. Y'all are our senior golds. There might be some rubies listening in on, but as most of y'all know, we started this week, and we just wanted to do a training for every rank to help you, just give you some action steps to get to the next rank. And I know there's a lot of you that, most of your goals are emerald or diamond, but right now we want you to focus on the next step, and that is ruby. So that's why we called it Icy Red. And I hope that y'all will just get a little bit out of this call. And again, it's being recorded, so we can share it with our team as our other ambassadors move up to senior gold. We can share this with them. So this is good golly, you're halfway there. So when I looked at, I was looking at that little stair step little sheet that tells us our compensation plan, and it hit me. I was like, y'all are halfway there. If your goal is emerald, you moved up to silver, you moved up to gold, now you're senior gold, and in 2 more steps, you'll be at emerald, or 3 more. So you're right down in the middle of the comp plan. So I want to just say, that's a huge accomplishment. Y'all are the leaders. Y'all all have teams up under you, and obviously you must be doing something right to have reached where you're at. So hopefully tonight we're just going to help you maybe step up your game or get refocused and make it to that next step. So what does ruby look like? So this is very basic. I know y'all all probably know the comp plan backwards and forward by now, but just to let you know, you have to have 4 commission qualified, personally sponsored ambassadors to go ruby. So that means you have to have 4 level 1s that are commission qualified to go ruby. Everybody else below you could be level 2s, 3s, well, down here where it says level 1 through 6. You have to have 500 points, with 100 of them coming from your outside your primary leg. So 500 points with 100 coming from outside your primary leg. Many of you don't have to worry about your primary leg, but I know a few of you have to. So just make sure you keep an eye on those points. 100 points, no, that's 100 level 1 through 6 ambassadors. So like I said, only 4 of them actually have to be level 1s, but you have to have 100 people commission qualified on your team. And once you've reached this, you get a $500 cash bonus, and the average monthly income is $2,930. So I don't know about you, but I like to think about this as like small goals. You always hear me say small goals build big belief. And so think about, what could I do with, well, if the cash bonus is $500 and you get 500 points with the pay point system at $3, that is $1,500 you make on points alone when you're ruby. And if you add your cash bonus, that's $2,000. What could you do with an extra $2,000? And I just challenge you to think, okay, what will I do when I go ruby and I have that extra $2,000 or even more based off the average monthly income? Maybe it's to pay for that beach house down on 30A that you want to go to this summer. It could be, I don't know, a down payment for a car, or it could be, extracurricular activities for your kids. That would pay for like all of next year's extracurricular activities for my kids. I don't know, just come up with a goal. And, we talk about our dream boards, and those are our big goals, but I want you to think specific. What could you do with an extra $2,000? Maybe pay off a student loan. That would be great. But just have a small goal so that kind of keeps you running towards ruby. So we're going to get started. And the first thing, Lindsey, are you here with us?
Yes. Can you
hear me? Yes, I just can't see for some reason. Oh, there y'all are. I just found y'all. Okay, I do much better being able to see y'all's faces. The first thing we're going to talk about is paying yourself. Now, I put this first because I think you are getting to a point where sometimes we forget to pay ourselves first. And what I mean by that is making sure we're taking care of ourselves and not just our team. So, Lindsey, will you talk a little bit with us about being intentional with your business hours?
Okay, right. So this is a spot where you really do have to find some type of balance where you do have to train your team, but you've got to still take care of your own personal business. When I say that, I mean like your customers and your level ones and that type thing. So you've got to set aside business hours and really try to be intentional about sticking to them. That might be, I have people on my team that have to do it in little chunks, like 15 minutes in the morning, lunch hour, and then after their kids go to bed at night. I have some people that can do it at nap time because they stay at home, and then the rest of it at nighttime. Whatever that works, whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't really matter when, it's just what you're doing with it. And y'all, a lot of this is going to sound like a broken record, but it's because it works. I know y'all have heard this your entire Flex's journey, but really some of this stuff is so true. You guys know what to do during your what we call IPA time, your income producing activity time. But I mean, really, it's 5-3-1. I mean, and it may not be 5 people that day. You may have to do 3-2-1. Or I remember when, like, I was like, I feel like I'm doing 3-72-1. I mean, like I was doing so many follow-ups. But whatever that looks like for you, you've still got to, when you sit down to do, sorry, she's watching George because my children are still awake. Whatever you sit down to do your time, you've got to have a plan. You got to stick with it. Now, what works for me, I have to write stuff down. I remember getting to this point in my business where I've been joking and saying this week, you can't just wing it anymore. Like, you've got to be intentional and strategic about it. So that might look like on Sunday night or Saturday night before your week starts, mapping out your week, who you're going to talk to, who you're going to follow up with, what your training is going to be like, what Zooms do you have planned, what Zooms are you going to. Writing it down and having a schedule, some kind of calendar, some kind of thing where you can keep up with it. And again, yours might look like 15-minute increments. Yours might look like 2 hours at night. Yours may look like just 1 hour a day. Look, I can just do 1 power hour. And, I think you need to do the hard stuff first. If it's hard for you to cold message, knock that out first. If you get distracted by scrolling through Facebook and checking on the team pages, because you do need to check on your team pages, do that last, if that's what's the most distracting. So kind of block your time and say, okay, I've only got 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to get 3 messages out in this 15 minutes. Or I've got an hour. I'm going to try to get 1 phone call with one of my level ones on this day. So, I mean, you guys know what to do. You just got to write it out. You got to plan it. You need to write it. And I would encourage you, if this is a hard thing for you, I would encourage you maybe take a snapshot and send it to your upline at the beginning of the week. Look, I just need some accountability. I want to show you what my goals are this week or this month, and send it to so they kind of know how to work with you, and they know what you're doing and know kind of how to expect, how to help you navigate.
Yeah. And I mean, in that business hours, this is so important. And again, I know you know it, but you've got to keep recruiting level ones. There never comes a time in your business that you can stop recruiting. And, you've heard Celeste's story about the bathtub. And, Plexus is like a bathtub with running water and the drains open. And as fast as they come in, they're seeping out the drain. And so you've got to keep refilling that bathtub. And, I hear, especially at Yale's Point, I know it's harder. It's harder to recruit level ones at senior gold than it was when you were silver. You've gone through probably your warm market. So you've just got to, look for ways, and it's actually down here, and I'll just actually skip down there, is broaden your network. A way to do that is broaden your network. I mean, I got to a point that, just like on my little challenge today on my team page about the law of attraction, get on Facebook groups and start building relationships, y'all. I was listening to the Abarts talk about that. Like, they were just, and that's where I got that idea from, honestly, was how they would get on homeschool groups. They would get on, your daughter plays softball. There's some softball group out there, join that. And don't talk about Plexus, just build relationships, friend people, and they're going to see. That's a good way to broaden your network. Take your kids to extracurricular activities and actually don't sit on your phone the whole time. That's hard for me. When I take the girls to ballet, I want to sit there and work. When there's moms all around me that I could be building relationships with. And I could go on and on. Again, I know this is simple, and we just really wanted to touch on this, but, we always say go silver every month. that's a big goal. And we want our people to go silver, but you're getting to a point, if you add 1 or 2 ambassadors, it's a success. Don't beat yourself up if you can't add 3 level 1s every single month at this point. But you want to make sure you are at least recruiting once a month. Because that's going to show your team that you're still recruiting, and they're watching you. They're watching to see if you're adding people to your team pages. They notice when you don't, because I've heard comments of, and I'll tell you, a lot of people will come to me and say, my team's not growing, we're stuck, my team's not adding, and then I go look and I say, well, you're not adding, so you're not modeling that leadership to them. So whatever it takes, you get out there and you recruit your level 1s, however that looks like for you. Lindsay, you want to talk about customers?
Oh, right. Okay. So again, this is just part of what your business hours look like now. Sometimes, y'all, in the very beginning, it was easier for me to take care of my customers, probably because I just had a handful. I knew exactly what they all took. I knew, everything about them. I knew when I talked to them last, I could check in my messages, but y'all just know it just gets kind of lost. And so if you don't have some kind of system when you write it down and when you're supposed to contact your customers and troubleshoot with them, that kind of stuff, they're going to fall through the cracks. So I know some people like to just print out their customer reports. That works for them. Some people just take 1 day a week and check on all their customers. What worked for me is the same thing that worked with my follow-up system. I just had a calendar, and I just wrote down when I talked to them, and I dated it. And I knew, if I had a new customer, I knew I wanted to talk to them pretty often those first couple months, so I would just write their name in. And by now, I have a lot of customers that are past that, 2 or 3 months, so I don't have to talk to them every week, but I still have it written down where I can. But I'll tell you, if I don't have it written down for me, they can just slip through the cracks. I almost forgot to check on a brand new customer who's been on the product for a week. I almost forgot to check on her. So, and two, building your own customer base is kind of like Julia talked about the bathtub. The same thing. She gave an example of when, a lot of times you're flipping those customers to ambassadors, so your PV is going to go down, and that's normal. But how do you build customer base? You're still reaching out, and you're still posting. And I know that gets hard around this time too. But again, it's twofold. You're posting and you're getting more customers, or you're getting more attention, but your team is also seeing you do it. So you're modeling and you're working your own business by doing those things. And again, these are the basic stuff that, y'all know this stuff, but it's just a continuation of modeling these things for our teams.
And I'll tell you, the reason I added mainly all of this is because this right here is what I struggle with right now. This would be my biggest struggle. I know y'all are saying this is so basic, Julia. This is what I struggle with. I struggle with being intentional. I struggle with recruiting level 1s. And I forget about my customers because I'm so focused on my team. I'm like, oh, wait, I'll be honest, just being very transparent. I had a girl message me today and ask me some about her triplex, and I was like, I've not checked on her once. Brand new customer. And so, I put this out here. If you're not struggling with this now, this is something that I want you to put on your radar, that as you grow, this gets harder because your focus is so much on your team. Okay.
It would be the hardest part of that. Remember to follow up with people that you have talked to. That's the hardest part of that right now for me.
Right. Okay, so we're going to talk about being a leader. So the rest of this whole phone call or training is about being a leader. And Lindsay loves John Maxwell, and she has, I guess, put that on me because now I'm all about John Maxwell. And, he says the growth and development of people is the highest calling of leaders, being a leader. And, that's really what we're going to talk about. It's just, developing the people above us, under us, and developing leaders. And we he has so many great points. We're actually going through a book, a few of us, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. If you're not going through it, just wait. You're going to go through it soon because we're kind of multiplying those little small groups there. But we pointed out 4 key things of being a leader, and it's influence, make connections, build momentum, and multiply. And so we're just going to focus on those 4 tonight. And the first one is influence. And I think influence is key because, what is a leader? A leader is someone who influences others. And, our first question is, what is influence? And influence is the ability to get people to participate. Now, if you think about yourself as a leader, what are you trying to do with your team? You're trying to get them to participate. And, I love how it says, it just points, it says, if no one's following you, you're not a leader. If no one's duplicating what you're doing, you need to work on your leadership skills. And, this is something that I just hold very dear to myself, because I never really felt like I was a natural leader. So to me, leadership is something I've had to learn, something I'm still learning, I'm still working on. And that last slide, the reason I struggle with all of that is because I tend to get in management mode. And at this point in your journey, you're going to have to start balancing leading versus management. And, management is part of being a leader, but just because you can manage, it doesn't mean that you can lead. And it's important for y'all to realize that now, because that way you can work on it. And so we're going to talk about influence. How do you influence? Rob, how do you influence?
Okay, well, first I want to...
I can't hear you.
Okay, is that better? A little bit?
A little bit better.
Okay, how's that? How's now?
That's good.
Okay, I'll just hold it up like this. Okay, so start thinking about people that are they don't have to be on our team. They don't have to just be your upline, but people that you would consider influential. They don't even have to be in Plexus, but just I guarantee you all have 2 or 3 people that just kind of pop in your mind. And just kind of think about those people as we're going through these things. When I thought about when she was saying, if people follow you, then you're being a leader, I thought about the beginning of my team page when I had nobody liked anything, nobody commented on anything. It was like crickets, and I had a bunch of people on there, but there was no activity. And I'm sure all of y'all have been at that place on your team page. And that's okay, because guess what? Influence can be a skill that can be learned. You may not have it right away with people, but it definitely can be learned. So that's hopeful. These are just, attributes of people that are when they have influence. These are things that can influence their relationships. Okay, character. I would go to say that everybody on here on this call has got great character. So you already have some type of influence because of who you are and your virtues. Relationships. You have probably influence over your level ones because you have a relationship with them. We're going to talk a lot about connecting and making and building on those relationships later on. And the deeper they get, y'all, the more influence you have on your team. Knowledge. You may not know a lot about the products or the company in the beginning, but you post on your team page and you post what you're learning. And that just kind of gives confidence that even though you may not know everything, you know something, and you may know a little bit more than the people that you're recruiting, your team's recruiting. So that gains influence. Intuition, just be able to sense things about people and sense their leadership skills and their leadership strengths and things that they're good at, those type of things, and recognizing those and kind of calling them out on those things that are good at. Experience, again, kind of like knowledge. But I think posting those things on your team page, whether it's product info or company info or whatever, and that kind of gains, even if you may not have it all figured out, you're gaining influence because we joked the other night, like, you're kind of faking it till you making it. Even if you don't know it, you're putting it out there and you're gaining influence being active on your team page. Past success, if they see that you have ranked up, even if it's just silver, they're looking at you, you have influence. And then ability, and it's okay not to know everything. That's not, but you need to be confident. And oh gosh, it's okay if you say I need to go and ask and I need to figure that out. But I think confidence has a lot to do with influence too. Not arrogance, not cockiness, but just confidence. Okay, I'm gonna figure this out and I'll get back to you. Anything else you want to add to that, Julia?
No. I think you did really well. Sorry. Influence. We always say, leadership is influence, and obviously you have to lead your team. But I also look at all of this and I think, okay, who do I know that has these qualities? And that's the type of person I want to recruit.
Right.
Who on my team has these qualities? Those are the leaders on my team. Maybe they haven't ranked up, but they build relationships great. You know who on your team has influence. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about those people in a minute, and about investing in them. So just if you jotted those down, remember, we're going to go back to that. Not only do you need those qualities, but your leaders on your teams need those qualities. The next thing is connection. And I think this is a strong suit of ours. I think our team is very good at connecting with each other. We are very good at connecting our sidelines and connecting with others. I think that's probably a strength of mine. I love people. I love relationships. I think that's why I've succeeded in this, is because I connect with people. So for leaders to be effective, they have to connect with their people. People are going to follow you the more connected they are. They're going to be less likely to white line and plexus if you have built a relationship with them. So 4 keys to connection. Lindsay, are you doing these?
Yeah, we can. I'll do know your audience first, because I think that's important. And y'all, this goes back to, it all builds on each other. So this goes back to, you can only connect with people when you're being intentional about your time and you're reaching out to them. So you're sitting down and I'm not saying I have to write down, some of your leaders you're going to talk to more naturally, but some people that you know, like Christy Doss, I didn't know her. We had to build a relationship with one another. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to be intentional with building these connections. And that goes back to your business hour time. But just knowing your audience, I think, y'all, it says this in the sentence. I'm just going to read it. You want to speak to what they care about and not just what you care about. That's true when you're prospecting, when you're talking to customers, when you're talking to your team. And I think it goes back to knowing their why. And I think that when you know their why, you're just more apt to deal with them on their level, what they need and their needs become, and their why becomes your why. So I think knowing them and knowing their goals and knowing their why connects you guys.
And I have, communicate with open and sincerity. I think it's important that you are open with them, and I'm a very real person. Y'all know me. I mean, y'all know I'm not a product guru. I'm not going to pretend to be. I hope I truly care about people. It's not, I think it's important not to be, you just need their 5 points and you just need them to commission qualify. This kind of ties around with Lindsay's, know your audience. If that person is not interested in the business, you don't have to bug them about business stuff. I had a girl message me yesterday, and she signed up, and she was super excited about the business, and she went MIA for a month. She's been on my team for about a month. And so I messaged her yesterday and was like, hey, checking up on you. And I could tell she was scared to message me back, because she's like, honestly, I think I should just be a customer. I love the products. She's lost 5 pounds, feeling great. She's like, I don't have time to sell right now. Can I just become a customer and not be an ambassador anymore? And so, of course, I explained to her, just be a wholesale customer. That's fine. No pressure to sell. But you know what? That's going to change the way I communicate with her, because I have to love her where she's at. And right now, she just wants to be a wholesale customer. And y'all, I do. I think she could rock the business. But if I was like, just kind of pushy, oh, come on, sell. I really think, because I wanted her points, I wanted her to blow up, that's just going to push her away. So loving people where they're at and being sincere and really caring about their needs and not just your 5 points and you ranking up, I promise you will reap you more benefits in the long run. And you will have a lot. I can't name how many wholesale customers have decided to sell 6 to 12 months after they signed up, because I have loved them where they're at. I haven't been pushy. I was happy with that. That goes into focus on them and not yourself. Y'all, we talk about this. How do you rank up to Ruby? You focus getting your team to gold. You do not worry about how many points you have. You focus on getting your people silver and gold. And again, it's just one of those selfless ways to lead. And I think it worked. It takes the pressure off of you. You won't be as stressed out. It's way more rewarding when people below you are going silver and going gold. And at this point, I would venture to say every one of you have at least one runner. Every one of you have at least one runner. Most of you probably have 2 or 3 runners. You might be a lucky one that have several, but I'm looking at the names of these people I know, and all of you have at least one runner. And you know what? You need to run with those runners, and you need to go recruit more runners. But you focus on those below you. And then, Lindsay, you want to offer direction and inspire.
And I would say, too, just on focus on them, not yourself. That's, yes, ranking up, that's how you need to focus on getting them ranked up. But it's not just ranking up. Like, message them and say, hey, can I do a three-way call with you this week? Do you have any prospects that you are on the fence? Things like that. You know what I mean? Like, really, because their business is your business. And so doing things like that and helping, hey, let's do this together. Let's message these people together or whatever. Can you hear me okay, Julia? Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, so offering direction and inspire. Honestly, y'all, the main things that a leader does, they model behavior, they inspire, and they provide strategy. So, and that's really what that is. I sat down, I don't know if y'all heard me tell that story, but one of my assistant principals, she's now like a leadership guru for Alpha. And so she goes around and trains like all these big leaders in Alpha. And that's something that she told me, and it really just stuck. I sat down and had coffee with her, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me. And she's like, you need to model behavior. You need to motivate them and inspire them, give them vision, and you need to just help them figure out a strategy. And I'm like, that is so true, and that's so good. So, I mean, I think just continuing to cast vision for them on your team page, in Zoom calls, casting, building that belief, sharing vision with them, helping them with their goals, things like that, and just helping them strategize. Like, okay, what's going on this month? Who are some people I can help you talk to? What can we do to help? What can we help to do to get your person to gold? What are some contests we can do? I mean, honestly, as simple as it is, that's really you're modeling, you're inspiring, and you're providing strategy.
And you're doing all that one-on-one with these people, y'all. That is the key. I know your team's growing, but at Senior Gold, you need to probably still be treating your level 1 through 3s like your own as much as you can. But it's that one-on-one connection that's going to make the biggest difference. And you know what? That's what makes you stand apart from other people. Is the more you invest one-on-one with people, your team is going to grow more rapidly because people love that connection. I know y'all are probably sitting here and you're like, Julia, no, we know all this, but I can see people aren't doing it. People are not contacting people one-on-one and talking to them and inspiring and strategizing and stuff. And that's how we got where we are, is by doing that. The next thing is momentum, and I love this. Molly Orr actually has a video that I love about that she talks about momentum, and if you've probably heard me talk about it. That momentum is one of those things that once you gain it, you got to keep it going. I love this little quote: "You cannot kindle a fire in any other heart until it's burning in your own." And leaders, momentum comes from a leader, and it's going to come from you. Oh, wait. It begins with the leader and it spreads from there. So you have to have that fire. You have to have that excitement. And I'm going to read these questions honestly because I think they're so great. And I really want you to jot them down and really think about them. Momentum begins with the leader and spreads from there. Are you passionate about our vision? Are you passionate about Plexus? Passion is contagious. Your team knows whether or not you're passionate or not. Do you display enthusiasm at all times? All the time, y'all. I know it's not, and honestly, this is something I'm looking at myself too as a leader. Do I display enthusiasm at all times? Do you work to motivate others even when you don't feel like it? When you're tired, when you're overloaded, when you're busy, do you still work to motivate? Do you take that time to send that short, encouraging text to your struggling girl who's trying to go silver? When shipping has messed up, you as a leader, are you staying positive? Are you trying to say, you know what, I understand? I mean, I think you have to sympathize for them. I'm not saying pretend like things aren't happening, but it's coming from you, and I've seen it, and I have different legs. The ones that are handling the difficulties with enthusiasm and positivity, their team is staying positive. Those who are complainers, and they're just killing that momentum. And they're killing that momentum. And I know some of you on here, because I know your teams. Your team doesn't have a lot of momentum right now. And so, we're going to talk about, how to get that momentum. Motivation is a key factor in momentum. What motivates your team? Is it prizes? I think motivation comes from different things. Some people are very motivated by prizes. I'm not motivated by prizes. You can give me as many free Plexus t-shirts as you want, and I'm probably not going to work harder for it. There's some people, you throw a $15 t-shirt and they go for it. That creates momentum. Lindsay, what are other ways that we create momentum? Motivation, to build motivation with our team. You're muted. Sorry.
Okay, so first, start with it. We love this, y'all. We talk about this on our team pages. First, start with the smaller things they can achieve, and then gradually move them toward larger goals. Okay, so I'm just trying to check my notes. Just little things on our team page. I always try to post on my team page when a new ambassador has made their first post. Do a little cute picture with it and ask people to go in. That's a big accomplishment, y'all. Some people are really nervous about that. Welcoming people is showing people that you're adding people. So that's a big accomplishment. Some other things, let me make sure on my list, y'all. I got sidetracked. Okay, so little things like this. Okay, so we're adding new people. That's an accomplishment. We're posting. That's an accomplishment. Their first customer, that's an accomplishment. For any kind of praise, y'all, little praises like this, it sounds simple, but this creates momentum. Okay, anytime that they commission qualify, you can do, if you want to spread out on your team page once a week, like 1 week, first week of the month, go tag all the people that have commission qualified. Put a big fun graphic up there. The 500 PV club. Hey, these guys are getting at least their products paid for and making some commission. Way to go. Go tag all those people in there. 1,000 PV club. These people have added an ambassador this week. Way to go. Go tag them. Any kind of little thing like that, y'all, that's going to create momentum. Anytime, of course, we see a silver, rank advancement, things like that, that creates momentum. Can any of y'all think of things that on your team page that you think would help motivate with momentum, things like that? You can unmute if you have an idea. Okay.
I think there's even other activities for momentum, and I'm just thinking from a Plexus standpoint. So you have this team, and you're like, Julia, I don't have any momentum, but you're excited. Post events create momentum. Online events, breakfasts, lunch, these team lunches, and y'all know that. Y'all know this because every girl on this call, I'm pretty sure, has been to a Plexus event, and you know how that builds momentum. So just duplicate that small for your team. I love this little, it's just an illustration out of John Maxwell's book, but it said, when was the last time you heard of a team on the cusp of winning a championship complain about or second guess the team's ability? It doesn't, because no one who is injured, because no one is injured and everything is perfect. No, it's because success is exaggerated by momentum. And I love that. They say that momentum is exaggerated. And when you have momentum, you don't worry about the small problems. And I think about that. What does that look like for your team? When you have momentum, you're not worried about somebody's shipping being wrong. Yes, it worries you. You want to help them and be good customer service, but it's not going to get you down. It's not going to kill your momentum. You're not going to worry about that person that you really wanted on your team and they signed up under someone else, because you have momentum and you're excited. And so just think about the small things, and maybe just think about, what's killing my team's momentum? Is there something you can think about that is blocking your team from having momentum? Is it because they're down, because they haven't added level ones? Well, what can you do to help that? Have online events. Help them with a launch party. Help them with their messages. There's always things you can do to help create momentum with your team. I think the worst thing I see is people who say, my team's just not motivated. it's true. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But there are things to do to help them drink, I think, I guess that's a way to say it. I mean, there's things that you can do as a leader to help gain momentum. So anything else on momentum? Anybody, any questions, comments?
I think two little things, when you were saying like what can kill momentum or whatever, if you have one person, like one customer that, let's just say she's been on it for 6 weeks and she hasn't lost a pound, she's complaining, and you have that can kind of get, it's one negative thing sounds like 100 sometimes, So I think posting things like, posting great testimonies on your team page, y'all, posting things like that build belief, that builds momentum too, because they can think, you know what, that might not have worked for her, but look at all these other people that it is working for. I know that helped me, and other things I was going to say, celebrating. I know that on my coaching page, I tried to, like when people first start doing their first Zooms or their first 3-way calls, things like that, I would just do shout outs like that, because it's, that's another kind of step or a layer, but that's a big deal, like stepping out on their own as a leader. So anything like that, y'all, that you can praise, and we all know that. I mean, praise, what is that saying? People work harder for praises and raises. It really is true. And so that creates, momentum on there too.
Okay, the next thing we have is multiplication. So we know this. We know duplication, multiplication, it is key for growth, especially at your point. Your senior gold, you cannot get to Ruby on your own. You cannot go recruit. Well, you could go recruit 100 level ones, but even with our comp plan, you have to have, I guess you still could do it with our comp plan. Anyway, it's really hard. I don't think anyone's ever got to Ruby just by recruiting 100 level ones. But
maybe Celeste.
What? Maybe Celeste. Celeste probably did. But other than Celeste probably did. So, the difference is leaders who attract followers and leaders who attract leaders. So we're going to talk about that. I used to, and I'm sure y'all probably heard there, is you just wanted to recruit ambassadors. There was a point in my business, I didn't care who they were. Just sign on up. Just sign on up. I want your 5 points. Now, I was telling somebody that I get to be a little bit picky. I don't want just anyone. I want leaders. I want people who are going to multiply. I want people who want this business. So, I can't tell you, when that switch is or where, even if it's healthy, to be honest. But I will say that now I definitely look for leaders, and it's those people that influence. So we're going to talk about leaders who attract followers, develop the bottom 20%. So you're spending your time at the bottom 20%. And so the way that looks like for me, for Plexus, you're spending your time with your wholesale customers, with your complainers, with your people not really saying they want it, but they're not working for it. That's your bottom 20%. And I know that sounds harsh, y'all, because if you're like me, I want to help everyone. But that's not humanly possible. I have 4 kids. There's only 24 hours a day. I have to sleep at least 4 or 5 of those hours. And so if I find myself spending my time with the bottom 20%. And it's, again, those people that say they want it, but they're not really working for it. But leaders who've developed leaders develop their top 20%. And we hear this. You probably heard it said, the 80-20 rule. Love your 80%, lead your 20. So how do you determine who your 20% are? You're to a point, guys, that you should have your top 20%. You should know who is doing the work, who's leading their team, who's duplicating, who has potential. I think there's definitely still people on my team who I consider my top 20 who aren't beyond silver. I mean, it's not, to me, I don't judge the top 20 by your rank. I judge it more by your leadership qualities and your effort. So just write down your 20%, guys, and make sure that's who you're investing your time in. And that's who you're spending your time with, and you're doing the Zoom calls for, and you're doing the one-on-one calls. I can't have a one-on-one call with all 100. I think I have like 90-something level ones now. I can't have a one-on-one call with them every week. But you know what? I do normally talk to my top 20%. If not every week, bi-weekly. Anything to that, Lindsay, to add to the 2080?
No, I think that was great. The next point is, y'all, and this is hard. Leaders who attract followers focus on weaknesses, and those who develop leaders focus on strengths. A lot of times, and yeah, I know you're probably, I'll see a lot of heads nodding. A lot of times you spend your time when you're with that bottom percent answering the same things over and over. Same things over and over, different ways, but it's like, or questions like the basic stuff that you know that you've explained time and time and time. And it's fine. You know, you want to help them. These are our teams. We want to love them. But just being able to, it's where you're focusing on weaknesses. Like, okay, well, let me explain the comp plan one more time. Let me send you the go in silver thing one more time, that kind of thing. And that's fine. There's some people that it will click with eventually, and that's okay. But when you're developing your leaders, you're recognizing those things that that stand out with them. You're focusing on their strengths. And, you know, this is one of the things that I really love, because I think everybody needs to know themselves really well. And a lot of us have never done anything like this, y'all. So we're having to learn all kind of different things about ourselves that maybe we're not really that great in, and things that we really are good in. So as cheesy as it sounds, I would encourage y'all to go and take like a short little online personality test. They've got different varieties you can take for free. Like there's Myers-Briggs, there's the 4 colors of MLM, even like something as simple as the 5 love languages. Y'all, you'll know stuff about yourself, but when you take these quizzes or take these little things, or even if you know any kind of just personality traits about people, you're going to recognize these things in your team. I know things about my team members, especially my level 1s. I know that Lisa Knopfsinger, she's watched every single video out there, and she knows her stuff. She can send things to her team members like nobody's business. I know that Mary Frances has got killer information on her team page. She's got great information on there. I know that she treats her team page like a business. Those things like that. Recognizing strengths in your team members, y'all, that goes a long way, because you're building on what they're already strong in, and they're passing that down. So take some time to just kind of do some self-reflecting on yourself. Do some little quizzes. It sounds cheesy, but just, kind of like, what was the magazine back in the day? Like 17? Wasn't that it? So they're just kind of grown-up versions of 17 quizzes. But, really focus on those things. And then, of course, praise and utilize those strengths. If you've got somebody that's just dynamic on product, help them let them utilize them and do a product training for your team. Or like Tara did on Julia's page about the little videos that she posted on the products. Utilize the things that your team is good at. It's going to strengthen them. It's going to give them confidence, and it's going to help them look for things in their team as well.
That's great. So, okay, leaders who attract followers treat everyone the same.
Oh, is this fine too? You want me to do this one too?
And leaders who develop treat individuals different. Now, the reason I said I didn't want this one, because honestly, I did not think this was a strength of mine. I was like, I don't think I should do this. You should do L. Rob. Now, L. Rob begs to differ. You can explain it.
I think Julia I think y'all think that she's very relatable to everybody. I think she is. I think she's very relatable. But what this is basically saying is, again, knowing your team, knowing their personalities, knowing how to deal with them. There's some people that I need to give detailed information to. I'm a detail person, so that's fun for me. There's some people, they don't want the fluff. They want the bottom line, and they want it in as few words as possible. That is hard for me, but it's how I need to relate to them, because that's how they communicate and that's how they get information. So, you just kind of have to adapt. This is kind of, to me, one of the hardest parts about being a leader, is we're just relating to so many different personalities, but it is really rewarding, because I know I'm growing as an individual, and not just in Plexus, y'all, but just in life in general. I know I can deal with, I'm kind of like, I'm extroverted sometimes, and I'm really introverted sometimes. So I know how to deal with people that are like both of those. And again, about how much information I give them in the beginning. Who's the go-getter? Who really wants, who needs the fast gold information in the get-go? Who needs 1 silver video a week? You know what I mean? So just knowing your team and being able to adapt, that kind of thing. And that goes for potentials. That goes for current customers. That goes for your ambassadors, just who are wholesale joggers or runners. Does anybody else have anything to add to that, or anything that you've learned so far just by, dealing with different personalities so far?
I have a brother. No sisters. I learned today that I can be quite honest with people, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I think I might have hurt her feelings, because I had a girl crying on me, and I said, suck it up, dry 'em up, stop it, you can't do this to me. And I was like, oh wait, I would have said that to my brother and not a sister. So I'm having to learn to be a little bit compassionate towards some people that are really sensitive, I think. Oops. But I'm learning, I'm trying, but maybe that's just what she needed. I don't really know that was the situation.
I made a girl cry this week, and I think my team would probably give me a high five. They're probably like, way to go, Lindsey. You're finally like, but yay. Not really high five because she cried. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just I laid it out there because she needed to hear it, kind of thing. And I wasn't ugly. But anyway, it's funny. Adapting to different people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that's like the phrase for the month of, oops, I made her cry. Apparently we're making lots of people cry lately. But I'll say something to that. Obviously, I never want to make anyone cry. And I am, blessed are the peacemakers. Like, that's our number one verse in this house. Be a peacemaker. But, sometimes, especially if it's going to affect their business, I would rather you tell me, correct me with love, if it's going to help me do better in the business. And, I wouldn't want somebody to fluff something just to make me feel better if I'm not doing it right or doing it the way that could be successful. So I just want to encourage you, definitely you're not anyone's boss. I mean, none of us are. And, but there are times that I think we do as leaders need to correct people. And, especially when it's integrity or issues like that we might have to, when we don't really want to, we might have to bring up.
And can I say what you told me that Sarah Marvel told Sarah, as Julia says, Sarah, we say Sarah Marvel, she just says Sarah. When there's drama, or not really even drama, but a problem, even like, ooh, I don't know if you should, I really don't think you need to be stacking this person, or I really don't think you need to be doing this. If you go ahead and nip it in the bud in the beginning and take care of it in the beginning before it grows, I think that's just, and that's kind of something that I had to do, and I probably waited a little bit too long to do it. But again, it's going to bless her business doing these things the right way. And, I just had to kind of say something in a non-filtered way, which usually I just kind of said it instead of like, I have to filter everything usually because that's my personality. But she didn't need that. She needed it straight up. So I would just say that's a good, take things and kind of nip it in the bud, as Sarah Marvel says.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. Leaders who attract followers spend time with others. Leaders who develop leaders invest in others. And so, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, spending time versus investing time. This goes back to being intentional. This goes back to your 80-20. This goes back to, really one-on-one conversations, helping them strategize. That's how you invest in people. And you're going to see your team grow the more you invest in people. I could have put 10 different little cute things about how, this is all about building up people, not building a business. And that's really where I think of investing time is. So I'm not going to spend a long time here. I think we've said it, but just make sure you're investing in your 20%. And I do want to touch real quick, just so I don't mess it. I know a few of you are on here and you're saying, Julia, maybe you have one really strong leg, and you do have to worry about those outside points. And you say, I only have one or two other runners than my strong leg. The 80-20 might not work for you right now. Because if you are at this point and you only have one or two runners, you pretty much are needing to invest in all your level ones at this point, because you don't know who your runners are. Does that make sense? So, I don't want you to just keep beating your head against the wall. If they're not runners, go out and find you more. But it's going to look different than somebody who has 20 level ones and 10 runners. or 10 people trying. So if you are one of those that you do have to watch your outside points, just know that, if you investing in people is going to look a little different. It's going to look still like it was when you were silver, probably, because you're trying to get everybody to post. You're still trying to get everybody to do 531, reach out. You're still doing a lot more hand holding than maybe some of the other ones whose team is a little bit more developed. So make sure, and that's the thing, I don't want you to miss that, because I don't want anyone to ever feel like, oh, well, she's not a runner, I'm not investing in her. Well, that's really, if all you have are joggers, then guess what? You just got to invest in your joggers, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. Leaders who attract followers impact only those they touch. Leaders who develop leaders impact people beyond their reach. Go for it, Lindsey.
I think y'all, and I mean, that's just duplication. I think that when you were, teaching your level ones how to lead their level ones, little things. If you're teaching your level ones how to go silver, you're teaching your level ones how to take care of their customers. You're teaching your level ones what to do when they're at an ambassador. You're teaching your level ones how to run their team page. You're teaching your level ones how to, do 531. It's going to trickle down. And as simple as that is, it's just that's duplication. And, Julie knows one of my favorite quotes, and Lisa probably knows this too. You got to start out like you can hold out, and that's just a principle of life in general, but especially with your team, start out like you can hold out, start out like you want to finish. So, treat your level ones like you want their level fours to treat their level ones, that type thing. And then I found this it's in the John Maxwell book, but I just thought these are just some things just to quickly run over. Just to look for things that in leaders already that you're on your team, but people that you're also still reaching out to. Leaders have influence. They have self-discipline, a good track record, strong people skills. They don't accept the status quo. I love that one. They have ability to solve problems. They see a big picture. They have ability to handle stress. They display a positive spirit. They understand people. They're willing to take responsibility. They're willing to make changes. That they take initiative. They have the ability to bounce back when problems arise. They have the ability to develop other leaders. They have a willingness to serve others. I love that one. They have a manner that draws people. They have a good self-image. They have an ability and desire to keep learning. They're accepted as a leader by others. They have a strong sense of self. They have the ability to see what needs to be done next. And they have integrity. So those are just things to look for, again, in yourself, in your team, your current team, and then potentials.
Okay, I think this is L. Rob's favorite quote. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And y'all, we were not going to, I say waste your time, but it's really not a waste of time. I didn't want this call to be like some of our other calls of, you've got to 531 every day. You have to post consistently. I mean, surely by now, y'all know you have to do those things. If only because it's modeling for your leaders below you. But it's just small steps, and the same small steps that took you to go silver are the same small steps that take you to go diamond. It does not change. Someone texted me today, Rita did, and she said, does it get easier when you go emerald? And y'all should have heard the voice message I sent back to her. It was just a bunch of mess because I really couldn't answer it. I was like, it's just different. It's different. And a lot of it is about being a leader. And so I'm really hoping tonight kind of prepared you that you are a leader. You might as well work on your leadership skills because that's what's going to get you further, and look for leaders and help them work on their leadership skills. Because, and that's one of the great things about Plexus. A lot of us join and we really, even if we were a leader, we really didn't see ourselves as a leader, or we weren't really looking to be a leader. We just wanted to make some money, or we really like the products. I don't think many people join Plexus that say, I want to be a leader and I want to lead this group of women and invest in their life daily. I mean, to me, that's the best part of this. We get to invest in women's life, and men, I guess, but daily. We get to be a part of it. So on top of Plexus, on top of helping them with their business, we get to pray with them when people are sick. We get to pray with them when their marriage is struggling. I think that's part of investing in people. You have to be invested in not only their Plexus world, but their real world. And for me, that's my favorite part, is that I get to know each and every one of you. I would say pretty much most of you on here, I know things about your life outside of Plexus. You know, and if I needed you to pray about something or to help me with something, you would, because we've invested in each other's lives. So really, you're at a great opportunity. Y'all are senior gold. Every one of y'all can make it to Maui this year. I want y'all to know that. It is not too late. I see the calendar, and I know we made little calendars, and some of you might not be hitting your benchmark. Maybe you didn't hit Ruby this month, and you thought February was the red month. But y'all, it's not too late. And I'm telling you, it's the momentum, and it's you investing in your people. That's what's going to get you there. So I don't know. We're just going to open it to question and answers. If anybody has anything, I'm going to unmute everyone. There's really only, I really don't know how many people there are. But I'm just going to unmute y'all. If y'all have any questions, let us know. Anybody? Now, all of the conversation always starts after